Hey, First Things First listeners, before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now let's start the show. First things first, are Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills on a magical run up in Buffalo? How dangerous are Lamar and these running Ravens the rest of the way? And did Tom Brady prove his doubters wrong on Wild Card Weekend? Good morning, everyone, on this Monday morning. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wild. Nick, my friend, you're the smartest guy I know. You are. What happened to your Tom Brady take? What happened?
The dossier failed me, Jenna. I take no accountability. The dossier had a lot of fake information in it, and we'll get to it.
The dossier.
Too many pages in the dossier. All right, but we have to start this morning in Pittsburgh because what was that? Browns with no head coach, no practice, clearly no problem against a Steelers team that either wasn't ready or was looking past a team they didn't think stood a chance. Well, they did stand a chance as my Cleveland Browns pulled off what some would call an improbable upset. So, Brandon, my friend, let us start right there. I know no such thing as a bandwagon. Was last night more about Baker and the Browns' resilience, or was it about Big Ben and the Steelers' struggles? Because you can make a case for either side last night.
Woo, Jenna, oh my goodness, what a game last night. You can arguably say that was the best wild card game for a team in NFL history. That was phenomenal. The easy answer is the Pittsburgh Steelers, because when you look at that botch snap, that penalty, you can easily say it was about them. But the reality is, it was about the Browns. The Browns dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers. You even go into the second half when the Pittsburgh Steelers start getting in the rhythm. Big Ben start getting hot, and they still dominated them. They were the better team, not only on that night, but just a better team, period. And they proved it play after play after play in all three phases. Outside of Big Ben throwing the ball all around the field, the Browns dominated every single area, from running game, stopping the run, special teams, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Baker Mayfield also, to be noted, I was on this guy all year. I'm still not ready to crown him and say go pay him $400 million, whatever the number is, for the starting quarterback in the Cleveland Browns organization. But that guy played phenomenal last night, and it wasn't throwing the ball over the field. His best plays was throwing the ball away. There was a play in the third quarter. I was like, okay, this guy may have a chance. He had a 20-yard in cut, and the safety drove down on it. The corner was tight on coverage. You can see that he wanted to throw this ball, and he threw it in the dirt. Excellent. And his balls last night, as far as throwing the ball away, was him actually escaping the pocket and running. So, Nick, this was all about the Cleveland Browns. Phenomenal outing by them without their coach.
Yeah, listen, we'll get to the rigatoni Roethlisberger part of the program later. 4 picks, that's 9 picks in his last 5 playoff games. Also, I don't know if anyone noticed, but he kind of Cam Newton'd in the Super Bowl, the opening play of the game. Like, wait, you want me to fall on that football? James Conner, you got it? Oh, no, now we're down 7-0. But the story of the game is what Brandon said. This is about Baker and the Browns and letting them have this moment.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the Browns, we are talking about Baker Mayfield. And I understand Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt might be like, hey, we're 2 of the 3 best players on the team, and the other one's Myles Garrett. Why don't you talk about us more? Because we don't. We talk about Baker. And the fact of the matter is, when Baker Mayfield doesn't turn the ball over, he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Like, the Baker Mayfield we've had the last 2 months, who has one interception since the midway point of the season, and that one interception almost made Brandon Marshall punch me in the face via Zoom, which is hard to do. You need a portal to do it. Baker Mayfield's great when he's taking care of the football.
True story.
And the context is, it's a true story. The context is, the Browns went on the road to Pittsburgh without their head coach, without, I would argue, 2 of the 10 best players on their team, critical players, their best corner, their best offensive lineman, and they mollywopped the Steelers. And so to me, this does define Baker Mayfield as the face of the franchise, the quarterback for the Browns moving forward. Now, I don't know what the finances will end up being, but this is about the beginning of the Browns and Baker Mayfield in that division, and the end wilds of the Steelers and Big Ben in that division.
Yeah, I buy that. I think Baker's going to have continued success. And when you saw the Steelers come out, I feel like it was the definitive answer to rust or rest, because they looked super rusty, super rusty. It's not only the mistakes and the snaps and the interception, they also just looked lethargic. It's like Nick Chubb's running over guys, Kareem Hunt's running over guys. They just didn't look like they were ready to play. So, Nick, it would seem like we have a real answer to, do you want to play a Browns team that is hungry and fighting to get into the playoffs? Then they win a playoff game, while the other teams hanging out. Oh, no, let's get healthy. Let's relax. It's been 20 days since Patrick Mahomes.
I see what's
By the time
happening.
they play,
I see what's
20
happening
days.
here.
And then last time they had a bye, Jenna, what happened? They came out after a bye week. They came out and destroyed the Raiders. They took all that time to watch the Raiders footage and destroyed them. Nope. Game like 28 seconds left. You need a miracle from Patrick Mahomes. I'd be very nervous. Very nervous. Here's my Mahomes impression. Feet up.
You know what?
Relaxing. Oh,
you
just a little
tricked
close
me
shave right here. You'll be good.
You said the last time they had a bye. I thought you meant the last time they had a bye in the playoffs, and I was like, well, they won the Super Bowl? Or are you talking about the Texans game where they scored 50-some? But you mean a regular season bye, so I understand. Brandon, I said the Ravens are the team that scares me the most. So the Ravens would have been going to Kansas City had the Steelers won. So I actually think from the Chiefs' perspective, it was a really good weekend. But I want to ask you something big picture-wise. Was this weekend the passing of the torch from the class of 04 quarterbacks to the class of 2018 quarterbacks? So 04, Eli, who's already gone, Rivers, who's about to be gone, and Big Ben, who's doing the 1,000-mile stare on the bench after the game like, oh, my God, what's happened? Class of 18 quarterbacks.
Come on, bro.
Lamar, first playoff victory. Josh Allen, first playoff victory. Baker Mayfield, first playoff victory. That trio from 04 went on for 15 years, but each of them to very successful careers. All of them made the Super Bowl except for Phillip Rivers. I wonder if we saw a figurative passing to the trio of 18 being that kind of, the colleagues of the same draft class being some of the standard bearers for the NFL at that position.
Yeah, absolutely. The NFL's in great hands when you look at the quarterback position, and you got a little bit of everything. You got pocket passers. You got guys who can get out the pocket and make all the throws. You got guys who can get it done with their feet. So absolutely, Nick. And I will also say, to go back to that class of 04, it's time for Big Ben to go, I think. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers situation, and where their strength lies on that defensive side. So when you see Mika Fitzpatrick at 24, Edmonds at 23, TJ Watt at 26, Dupree 27, Bush 22, 2 at 27, Hayward 31, I would say that you can't waste those guys' prime. Some of those guys are entering in their prime. Big Ben, you threw for 500 yards. You threw 47 completions, but you were the reason why that team lost that game. You can't go out there and throw 4 4 picks in a wild card weekend. You absolutely can't do that. And how they sputtered at the end, it had everything to do with that offense. So I would say it's time for the Pittsburgh Steelers to move on from Big Ben, because they'll waste all those guys on the defensive side. That is your strength, built around them. Get an offense that can run the ball and a quarterback that can get it done. Now, look, will it happen? We talked about this last week. I'm not sure, because he has that 1 year left, $31 million. But he had a great career, man. But the Pittsburgh Steelers need to find a way to move on from Big Ben this offseason.
Yeah, a lot of decisions for this organization to make now moving forward. The other big story this weekend, Tom Brady onto the second round of the playoffs. Is it time for Nick to toss his dossier?
No. I gotta go. I gotta run. Gotta run. Gotta drive my kids to school. I'll see y'all tomorrow. This is a good show.
What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
All right, we head to Washington now.
Let's go,
Tom
Buffalo.
Brady versus... There you go. I'm sure you have nightmares of that song in your head, Brandon, all those trips up there to Buffalo. Tom Brady versus Taylor Heineke, and what a valiant effort by Heineke. The underest of underdogs. My kind of guy, Nick. He was good. Unfortunately, Tom Brady was better, even against that stout Washington defense. Bucks get the win. They face the Saints next. Nick, you put together a 3,000-page dossier on why Brady would lose the game. Where's the dossier now, and did Tom Brady change your mind?
Let's see it. Well, you know, Jenna, you guys can put me on camera. It's okay. The tears are gone. Here's the dossier. Here it is. Look at this. I want this right here. This is early years Tom Brady in the trash. This is Tom Brady against the rush this year in the trash.
Is it happening?
This is Tom Brady on the road in the postseason in the trash. Yeah. You know why? Because the dossier.
Is it happening?
And people are like, "Oh, Nick, are you going to admit you were wrong on Tom Brady?" Kind of. I'm kind of going to admit I was wrong on Tom Brady. And in this regard, I did think Washington would be able to get a consistent pass rush. And on the first drive, it looked like they were going to. They hit him a couple times. It was like, oh, this is exactly what we needed. But they weren't able to get a consistent pass rush. And even the few times they did get home, Brady was able to follow it up with a very good play. And so I have to give him credit. If you would have told me Washington's going to score 23, I would say perfect. That's all they need to win. I can't put this on Alex Smith not playing because Heineke came out and balled. I can't put this on some terrible turnovers. I understand Heineke did have the one pass tipped that was intercepted, but Tampa's running back had a fumble. And after that fumble, Brandon, I want to go through what happened. So Vaughn fumbles, Heineke has the great drive, and all of a sudden it's a 2-point game. And then this is what Brady does. A 9-play, 55-yard field goal to extend the lead to 5, followed by a 7-play, 69-yard touchdown drive to extend the lead to 12. And then when Heineke punched again, and it's a 5-point game, an 11-play, 7-play, 58-yard drive to get the lead back to 8. The old man played very, very well in what I would have considered very tough circumstances. And so do I think Tampa can win the Super Bowl? Of course not. Do I think some of the issues they had early in the year are going to come to bite them eventually? I do. But I've been saying for a month and a half they wouldn't beat Washington, and Brady would be a big reason why. And Brady didn't make any significant mistakes. He led critical drives in a game that was closer than I think most people thought, and I got to give the man credit for it. So this was not his last playoff game ever. Next week will be, but this was not, and he had one more great moment. I'm happy for him about it. Like, I mean, that's what happened.
Nick, I'm not trying to kick a man. I'm not trying to kick a man while he's down.
No, you can
but
kick
man,
me.
it's not only been a couple of weeks. It's been a couple of years of you bashing Tom Brady and trying to say that this is the last game, the last year that we see Tom Brady, noodle arm Tom Brady. But look, I'm not trying to kick you while you down. I love that you stood up and said, you know what? I'm kind of wrong here. But look, I said it last week. Sometimes on television, it doesn't matter what channel you turn on. All we hear is X's and O's, and we hear about all these statistics, and we don't talk enough about the mindset of these players. I said it last week. This dude is on a mission. I remember being in the locker room. I remember being in the organization, in the building, and working on those little details, knowing that if I could get my steps right at the top, then I'll catch more balls. So when you think about Tom Brady and how he looks in the pocket, how he's moving in the pocket, escaping, and he's elusive, and then how he's throwing and he's following through, there's more zip on his ball. He's more explosive. And I'm telling you, this guy is on a mission. I'm not looking at his age. We know he's 43. I'm looking at his mentality. There's a reason why this guy is still playing. Something has to be wrong with you to still be playing football at 43. I sit here at 36 years old watching football every Sunday, and every time someone gets hit, I cringe like, oh, is he going to get up? So when you think about him, think about his mentality. And when a guy has that type of mindset to go out there and give everything he has and do what he needs to go to the next level, you have to respect that and you have to put that first. So I see him at the beginning of the season. Where's the zip? Where's the spin? Where's your mobility in the pocket? And then you compare him to where he's at now, Wilds. I would have to say this dude is on his way to the next Super Bowl. This is his 14th championship, right? He's on his way there. It will be his 14th.
Okay, so I thought it was Tom Brady and friends. AB had another touchdown. Mike Evans, Brandon, you scared me about these ankle sprains. He's back looking great. Spend some time at House of Athlete, get it wrapped up, and get ready to go. The other Brady friend, remember I told you, Nick, I said it last week. I said, when in doubt, you can call on big old Gronk to block Chase Young. Gronk had some timely blocks there. Chase Young ends up with 0 sacks, 0 QB hits, 0 worries for Tom Brady. Now, let's start looking forward as you're like worried about the Saints. Tom Brady is not losing 3 games to one team. He's just not. Never has in his career. Maybe in junior high school in a rec league because he didn't all in college and he didn't in the pros. So I cannot imagine that he's going to lose to the Saints for the 3rd consecutive time. If anything, I think that I'd be nervous if I was saying, like, oh, we got this guy twice. Now the 3rd time.
Wait a second. While I agree it's hard to beat a guy 3 times, what Wiles just said there might have been the most misleading nonsense stat I've ever heard.
What did I say?
Said he never lost to the same team 3 times in college. It's impossible to play the same team 3 times in 1 year in college. That's first of all. In the NFL, it's literally impossible. You can't do it. And in the NFL, the only teams you can play 3 times in a year would be teams in your division that make the playoffs. So that means Tom Brady's whole career, he went every year without losing 3 times to the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins. Congrats. Guess what? So did every other quarterback alive for NFL history.
So did for 2 of those teams. Stop the disrespect.
But okay, that's fine. But I do want to, speaking of respect, I do want to put respect on somebody's name who had a lot of scrutiny this year. Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, and their offense. When the Bucs were playing poorly, it was, they're not letting Tom Brady dink and dunk and do the high completion percentage. If you watch this game, Brady's completion percentage was not good. This isn't a knock on him, by the way. He was 22 of 40. So why were his numbers so good? Because the completions were deep down the field. Because they were taking shots. Yep. There was the element of no risk it, no biscuit, like there had been the last month of the season, and it was working. So we've got to give Arians and Leftwich credit for sticking, Jenna, to their game plan from the beginning and believing that Brady and the receivers would get on the same page, because that was a Bruce Arians-style offensive performance, not what we're usually, if Brady throws 40 passes in a playoff game, he's going to be 33 of 40 for around the same number of yards instead of 22 of 40. These were deep down the field. That's Arians.
Yeah, can't believe you think he's going to the Super Bowl. Time for Nick's NBA medals as we take a slight detour now. I love this. Wild weekend in the NBA. We mentioned Kawhi. He put up 35 in a win over the Bulls last night. It wasn't enough, though, to earn a medal. So, Nick, who did make your podium?
Tyrese Maxey also just barely off the list. Bronze medalist in a losing effort. Zach LaVine was excellent Friday, was even better Sunday. 45, 7 and 7, 10 threes, 6 points in the final 40 seconds to turn a 7-point game into a 1-point game before he ultimately missed the game-tying shot. Zach LaVine on the medal podium for the first time all year. Silver medalist, our first rookie to make it, LaMelo Ball. Youngest triple-double NBA history, 22, 12, and 11 on only 13 shots. The Hornets get the win over the Hawks. LaMelo Ball breaks the record, once held by LeBron, then held by his brother, then held by Markelle Fultz, I believe. And the gold medalist, and this is the problem, by the way, with giving out these medals on Monday. Sunday, Steph Curry was terrible, even though they won. Friday, he was sensational in a win over Brandon and Broussard's beloved LA Clippers. 38 and 11 for Steph as the Warriors, who looked horrible early in the year, all of a sudden are a tough out for everybody. 38 and 11, Steph gets a gold medal. His second, by the way, his second gold medal of the year, Brandon.
Yeah, that was a big question going into this year once we saw his guy go down, Thompson. Can he carry this team? And Steph is showing us that. But the other thing I want to talk about, Nick, really quickly is LaMelo Ball. The Wolves and the Warriors, I said it at the beginning of the season that they will regret not taking this young man #1 overall. He is not a superstar waiting. He is a superstar now.
Oh, solid take.
Strong take. Wilds?
Want to see who missed the cut? Yeah, I've got who missed the cut. Well, here comes my graphic. Guess who missed the cut? Oh, here just missed the cut according to Wild. This is not a highlight. Well, it's a highlight for Boogie. Granted, Boogie gets thrown out later in the game. Markieff Morris. What's your plan here? Markieff Morris hits Tate and then gets thrown out. Oh, there it is. Boom. So Boogie hits him back. Marquise's like, hold on, I just got hit. Blammo. Goes over and talks to him. Hey, so Markieff Morris, terrible job by you. Terrible job. Boogie gets thrown out, but it's sort of like when two bullies meet, but Boogie turns out to be the stronger of the two. So nice try, Markieff Morris.
That's a fight no one wants to get
Morris
between.
how to tackle. What kind of hit was that?
They teach that at House of Athlete,
They were just love taps. Love taps. Back to football now, and the enormous weight that was lifted off Lamar's shoulders last night. Ravens and Titans and all the bad blood between them. It's next. It's First Things First.
Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Back here on First Things First, time to make our Super Six picks for tonight's national championship. One of the questions, who's going to win the game? Nick, Ohio State or Alabama?
Oh, I'd love to see Ohio State win, but I think Bama's going to win by 7. I'm gonna do the cowardly thing and do the chalky pick. I'm rooting for Ohio State, Brandon, but I got Bama by 7. I think too much, too good.
Do you want to talk about it? You want to talk about it, Nick? Last time we talked about the Ohio State team going against Clemson, we said it was going to be a blowout. All right, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to go Ohio State by 3.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
Bama by 10. Ohio had plenty of luck this weekend. Not luck, but good fortune, I should say. They don't get another one. So Bama by 10.
All right.
No.
We shall see. Fox Bet Super 6 has given away over $3.5 million so far. Get your picks in before kickoff for your shot to win some money. For much more, you can always head to the Fox Sports app. And with that, we're moving on. We're back talking Ravens and Titans. No love lost between these two teams. Animosity coming in, animosity throughout. But for Lamar Jackson, desperate for his first playoff win, and he showed up. Ravens defense did too, holding Tennessee to a season low in points. Ravens get the win. We'll talk about the antics that followed in a little bit. But first, Mike Vick is joining us now. Mike, good morning. Thanks for hanging out. What did you make of Lamar in his first playoff win?
I was very impressed. I knew Lamar was not going to be denied with the playoff win yesterday. And coming into the game, it was extremely, full focus on his part. I expected Greg Roman to dial up the game plan catered to Lamar and his abilities. You see, he ran for 136 yards, and I think that was the telltale sign of why they won the football game. But, throughout the course of the game on third downs, managing the game on first and second downs and not putting the ball in harm's way, bouncing back from the interception early in the game, I think that was paramount. And for his confidence and moving forward, this game is going to catapult him into, the echelon of players where, he can compete on this level. And I think, going into next week is going to be even better. The game is going to be even easier. The game plan is going to be more simplified. So I expect them to go out next week and pretty much do the same. But yesterday was a good step in the right direction for Lamar and a great opportunity for him to get his first playoff win. And, once you do that, things just start to overflow, man. So, it's not an easy task getting that first win, but once you get that first one, you can kind of steamroll and feel good about it.
Success for any player, whether you're in year 1, year 3, or year 13 or 15, it means a lot. When you think about Lamar Jackson, everything you just talked about, let's look at that interception that he threw. I mean, I was cringing in my seat like, oh, no, Lamar, don't do this. This is your opportunity. Yeah. That was a horrible throw by Lamar Jackson. Horrible decision by Lamar Jackson. And he overcame that. And when you, like you said, Mike, when you have success in this moment, in this type of game, it actually takes your game to a whole nother level. Because throws like this, you're uptight. You're second guessing yourself. Now that he got over the hump, I don't expect him to make bad decisions like this. This is a simple corner route. He's supposed to lead his receiver to the sideline. You have to think as a player that so many things was going through his mind leading up to this game. To answer your question, Jenna, we saw MVP Lamar Jackson, the same Lamar Jackson that we've been seeing for the last 2 years. Electric, one of the best athletes in all of sports. He was phenomenal. He was good in the passing game. And I have to say good because Greg Roman stood up and they did a good job. And Lamar made some great decisions. He was 17 for 24. But I got to say this. It's not enough to take you to this championship. And that is the standard for this organization. That is the standard for Lamar Jackson. What I think they need to do going into next week, they need to throw the ball more down the field. That's what this offense is missing. Okay. Just simple go routes. He threw 3 balls past 20 yards. 1 was incomplete, 1 was complete, and 1 was intercepted. I don't care who's out there. You got Dez Bryant. I know he probably runs a 4.7, 4.8. Let him go. Throw the ball up. Let him compete for those 50-50 balls. If you do that, it will take this offense to a whole nother level, and it could be a Band-Aid to get you into the offseason.
So during the game, I didn't talk to anybody any of the folks on the show. But I know how long Vic has been a supporter of Lamar's, and I know how long Brandon has been a vocal supporter of Lamar's. And I, a few years ago, stood on the table when he was getting ready to be drafted, and the discussion surrounding him I thought was in such poor taste about changing positions.
Yeah.
And I bet all 3 of us were feeling the exact same way after that interception. Oh no.
Yeah.
This again.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
This is going to be terrible. It's going to haunt him. He's going to have to wait another year and then play with even more pressure on his shoulders in the postseason next year. And honestly, it's the type of thing that could have been a fork in the road moment of his career. And he took the right exit.
Yep.
He took the exit, which was, how about I just kick their ass for the next 3 quarters? What about that? How about I just do things that only Lamar Jackson can do? How about I turn a sack into a 48-yard touchdown when 3 Titans have an angle on me, including an all-pro safety, and I just dust him? And this is why last week I said, as a Chiefs fan, the Ravens are the team that scares me. Because you might now see the better version of Lamar Jackson because that monkey is off his back. You're right, Brandon, that it's the standard in Baltimore is the Super Bowl. But Wilds, I would argue that even though they haven't achieved that goal, this was such a massive hurdle that they overcame, and doing it in the fashion of, oh, not built to come from behind. Well, you're down 10-0. Down 10-0, and then you beat them 20-3 the rest of the way. I think it makes the Ravens right now the 3rd most dangerous team in the entire NFL. Chiefs, Packers, Ravens is how I would power rank it right now.
I like that.
But you guys, I felt like now I got to be the mean guy on the set. I'm supposed to be like the funny, nice guy. We all know how this story is going to end. It's going to end exactly what the Ravens did to Derrick Henry. You stop the run and you look around and you're like, oh, that's all we got. Sorry, lights out for the Ravens. I'm not ready to write off that interception as like being, too much pressure. I feel like that was so bad. All you talk about, Brandon, all you talk about is your guy, Leslie Frazier. You think Leslie Frazier was worried about, broken plays at Lamar? He's just going to stop that and dare you to throw it down the field. He got sacked 5 times. I'm feeling like Leslie Frazier will feel great about that interception and watching them.
Quickly here.
And I know you got the whole Bills team on the text, but I don't know if you want to text him, hey, let Lamar throw the ball down and you guys are in trouble.
Well, here's the challenge going into this week. You have Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, I believe, the first team to rush for 3,000 yards. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong there. But they're lights out in the run game. Yep. And then you have, there you go. And then you have this Buffalo defense who's really good collectively, but against the run, they're not great. So this is going to be a huge challenge for a team, the Buffalo Bills team, that I said could compete against the Chiefs and go to the Super Bowl.
All right, I want to quickly bring up the antics that I mentioned earlier in this game following Marcus Peters' pick that sealed it. The Ravens defense met on the Titans logo to celebrate. This in response to the dust-up the teams had in Week 11 after the Titans warmed up on the Ravens logo. Also, Lamar took off for the locker room right after this game ended, shook nobody's hand, said after, quote, there wasn't any reason for us to shake hands. A lot going on here. Again, these two teams don't love each other. Mike, Vic, was this fair or foul?
I mean, it was fair. I guess what's understood don't need to be explained in that moment. Obviously, some beef on both sides, but, I'm always a man of integrity for the game of football. I always be that way and stand on that. I like to see guys congratulate each other after the win, and I've always been a big fan of look your opponent in the eyes in defeat or in victory. And it's always sweeter when it's in victory. So I think I would have shook hands with Ryan Tannehill, and I would have went and shook hands with some of those guys, and just to let them know, like, look, man, we arrived and we here, and now y'all can hit the exit, man. It's all good.
Oh, this is fair. Look, it was fair going back to Week 11 when Coach Vrabel sent this team out there in a fight. Remember, that team was sputtering. The Tennessee Titans team wasn't playing really good ball. He told his team to break it down on their logo because he knew that it was going to cost them the fight. And what happened? Coach Harbaugh was the only one that came out there and challenged that team. So this is fair to me. Lamar Jackson's from Pompano, Florida. Google Pompano, Florida, if you don't know what it is. Yeah. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the poorest county, East Liberty, and it's the poorest county in Pennsylvania. This is not business for us. This is personal. So when you come in and do what you did in Week 11, it becomes personal. So Lamar Jackson, how he led his team and how he responded after the game, to me was fair, all right, because of what they did in Week 11.
Really?
Well, I understand the week 11 part, but I also think this. I think Lamar would have shook hands if Peters hadn't done what he did. It reminded me, honestly, of me in high school, and I'm the Marcus Peters role, where like the supporting actor in the movie is all of a sudden doing all the S talking, and then the lead actor's like, geez, I'm the one that's gonna have to answer for this. And Lamar had to know, because of what Marcus Peters did, there could be a little skirmish after the game here. Like the Titans, we need to get off the field. So people are gonna say, Nick, you crushed Brady for not shaking hands. I understand that. I think these are very different situations. I also think that there was legitimate chance, Wilds, that post-game there was some extracurriculars given the fact that Marcus Peters lit that torch intentionally taunting the Titans. And by the way, I love that by Marcus Peters. I love him. But I think that's what happened to the Wilds.
So everyone's okay.
All right, Wilds,
I'll tell you what, look, I mean, I like that when Lamar ran out, he's like, "Ooh, I got to do my media hit," and he came back. So it's not like he was so like fired up. It's like, I hope the network's an interview. So then he came back. So I like that part. I love the dancing on the logo. It's fantastic. That's what Vrabel gets. I love this little play when he sits down and points at the defender. Also fantastic. But I guess, Nick, if you're saying there was going to be a skirmish, now you're going to change my take. I thought they missed a good opportunity to talk more trash. Like, if you want to talk trash, just stay there. You won the fight. You got to go. It's like a boxing match. The winner doesn't go and leave. The loser has to leave. So the fact that they could have stayed there, hung out, drank some Gatorade, relaxed, put their feet up on the bench, wave to people, maybe print up some T-shirts. I don't know what they want to do. But
yeah, they got the revenge.
When you win the fight. Yeah.
I agree.
No.
The sweetest
I like to rub it
revenge was
in.
you
I like to
won.
rub it in.
Stand there.
Yeah, rub
put
it in
your
a little
hand
bit.
out. Oh, man.
Sure.
All right, so Lamar gets his first playoff win, as did two other quarterbacks in his class, Baker and Josh Allen. We'll head back to Buffalo on the other side. This is First Things First. Shake, shake, shake. On Thursday, Tom Izzo's 23rd ranked Spartans battle number 5 Iowa in one of the most anticipated Big Ten games of the season. It's Thursday, 9 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Back here talking Buffalo Bills taking on the Colts. Young Josh Allen, welcome to the NFL against not as young Phillip Rivers. Perhaps a farewell to the NFL after this one. Allen tossing 2 touchdowns, adding 1 more on the ground as Buffalo holds off a late comeback attempt for their first playoff win in 25 years. Mike Vick back with us now. Mike, did Josh Allen and the Bills win this game, or did Indy lose it?
Josh Allen and the Bills, they won this game. I feel like Josh took another step in the right direction in terms of his career and what he presents for the Buffalo Bills as their quarterback. But for the Indianapolis Colts, I got to give them a lot of credit in Phillip Rivers. I thought the game could have been way worse than what it was. They kept it close. It was a clean game, no mistakes. No penalties. I think it was maybe 4 penalties total in the entire game, 2 on each side. So the game was fairly close. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they was able to connect as I thought they would, and I thought that was one of the big reasons that the Buffalo Bills was able to pull this game out. But it was exciting on both sides. I thought the Indianapolis Colts was going to pull it out. They just ran out of time. But the game was evenly matched, and this is the type of playoff football that you want to see. You want to see the teams go in and really lay it all out on the line and compete hard. And the best team is going to win, the team that make the least amount of mistakes. So in this game, I thought it was evenly matched. I think Buffalo earned every blade of grass, and they earned the win.
Wow. I love Mike Vick. So this hurts my heart. You're out of your mind, Mike. Out of your mind. Crazy. Insane. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, folks, listen. A lot of people tweeted to me this weekend. Nick, are you going to admit you were wrong about Brady and Josh Allen? And about Brady, if you were watching earlier, I admitted I missed some things on that. Am I going to admit I was wrong about Josh Allen? Of course not. If you watch the game, No one doubts the guy can make amazing throws. The question is he going to make amazing mistakes? And we saw it in this game, but that's before we even get there. Who lost? Did the Bills win? Indy lost the game at the end of the first half. The end of the first half was a travesty on both sides of the ball. You have 3rd and goal from the 1. You have 2 shots to get 1 yard. Unless you do this play, a toss crack, and you lose 4 yards. Then, instead of taking 3 okay, well, I'd have run Jonathan Taylor behind the best offensive lineman in football, Quentin Nelson, twice. Instead, you lose yards, then you have a drop touchdown. Okay, but you're still alive. You're still okay. Until you let Josh Allen drive down the field, and then this. They did only have 2 penalties, but one of them, they weren't running that play. What are you doing? But Josh Allen said, hey, into the half, I'm going to try to help you out. Let me throw a pick here to make up for it on the very next play after you give them 4 points. Let me try to throw a pick. Nope, dropped. That was the game. Despite all of that, and then the Colts kicker missed another. I told you about the rookie kickers. Colts kicker missed a 30-yarder. Bills rookie makes a 54-yarder. Despite all of that, the Colts are right there. Why? Because of this Josh Allen play, and this should have been the play of the game. The only thing he can't do is this craziness. But because always trying to do a little too much, that could have been fumble, pick, return, game over. Have the game in control, and that happens. So why, Nick, why don't you trust Josh Allen? Because his A's are A triple pluses and his C's are actually F's. He ended the first half trying to throw a pick. He tried to end the second half with a fumble to lose the game. So, no, the Colts had this game on a silver platter, Brandon, and they couldn't scoop it up, literally with that fumble right there. Not even to mention the Phillip Rivers stuff at the very end of the game. So, to me, this was about the Colts, not about the Bills, clearly.
I 100% disagree with you. This is football. At the end of the day, right now you're reaching on this Josh Allen thing. If this kid didn't impress you after almost having 400 total yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and winning their first playoff game in the Bills organization over the last 25 years, then I don't know what else to say to you. This dude is balling. This team is balling. So, Nick, when you talk about these mishaps and these plays, that's what happens. Whether you win or lose, you're going to go back in and you're going to watch film and say, okay, Josh, you can't make this mistake because this could have cost us the game. He said it after the game. One of the first things he said was, look, I can't do that. I could have lost this game for my team. But when you break down this dude, he is next level. I'm going to show you one play, and I'm going to show you why he is so phenomenal. This is what? Let me see. This is the fourth quarter, 2nd and 4. All right, you got double right, so you got 2-by-2. You got Stephon Diggs in a tight split, which is important. Backside, you got a tight stack. So what that tells the backside, everybody on the defense, is that might be a high-low combination. So you got the safety cheating over the top there. You have Carey, who's off and inside, and he sees Stephon Diggs in a tight splits, top of the number. So what that tells him is, look, take away the inside route and jump everything outside. That's why he sat. Josh Allen drops back, looks off the safety, then throws to Stephon Diggs and fake. Look at his eyes. This is next-level quarterbacking. Mike Vick will tell you this. This is not supposed to happen in the fringe area. This cornerback is supposed to be able to take away the deep ball. But because of Brian Daboll drawing it up, putting these guys in a perfect formation, and Josh Allen working his magic, it's next level, Nick, and you got to respect it. You got to respect Brian Daboll, and you got to respect this dude leading this team.
So let me just respond to that very quickly, because I want to be very clear about what my opinion is. Because there is no doubt whatsoever that Josh Allen has moved from a guy who his rookie year, you knew he had amazing arm talent, but couldn't hit the broadside of the barn, to a guy who consistently makes super impressive throws like that. There is no doubt about that. You can watch a Bills game, and 3 times over the game you can have a wow moment. And that was one of them. I think that was to go up 14 points. So I am not denying that his upside continues to be massive. But I also think you have to admit, watching this game, there's a lot of heart in your throat moments. Even the first touchdown, the little Tebow push, it worked. but that is disaster waiting to happen. The pick at the end of the first half
how
got
is that
overturned.
disaster? How is that disaster waiting to happen? He was wide open. He got it
because it's the same.
Like you got to look at you're reaching.
Right, but it's the same.
Buddy, you're reaching.
It's the same mentality. Real quick, hold on, Brandon. The mentality that had him keep that play going, that ended up turning into a touchdown, is the exact same mentality that led to him try to keep the play going when all you have to do is not take a sack, and he fumbles the ball in the fourth quarter up three. Pardon me. Like that's what scares me.
Yeah, but you're reaching, Nick.
And I
understand that. I understand that. But then we have to have the same. But then we have to have the same conversation with Mahomes. You go to the Miami Dolphins game, Patrick Mahomes. He could have threw 4 interceptions, but it was bouncing off the defensive back's face mask.
Then I'll take it. Then yeah, if Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl,
no, it has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. It has nothing to do with the Super Bowl. It has everything to do with the player, right, Mike? Like players make mistakes. Players make mistakes. Josh Allen made a mistake.
Let's not forget this. The Indianapolis Colts defense is a good defense. I mean, Justin Houston and Xavier Rhodes, Buckner, they got a defense that they gonna make you play. You're gonna have to earn every blade of grass, like I said. So, of course, you have guys who make mistakes, guys, drop a pick here, pick there. Josh Allen put a ball in guys' hands. You got to make those plays. If you don't make them, then you come out on the losing end, and that's what happened. So that's why I say, Buffalo Bills, they earned this win. If the Indianapolis Colts would have did things right, then, they would have came out on top. But that's just not the case. But we can't discredit all the things that happened on the Buffalo Bills side, and also can't discredit the things that happened with the Indianapolis Colts. So that's why I say this game was evenly matched. In the playoffs, is all about who make the least amount of mistakes and make more plays.
Yep, and on this night, it was the Bills who made the least amount. We move on back to last night's debacle in Pittsburgh. Was this game more about Baker or Ben? Asked and answered on the other side. This is First Things First. First things first, we head to Seattle where the Rams started John Wolford, Wolf guy. Then they lost the Wolf guy after a big hit early. So Jared Goff forced to come in with his thumb clearly not 100%. Didn't matter because the story of this game was just a dud from Russell Wilson. Pick 6 by Darius Williams, sacked twice by Aaron Donald, mocked multiple times by me for having him as an early MVP candidate. Rams get the win. Here's Jared Goff after the game.
All week we were told how good they are and how we snuck into the playoffs, and you come into their home place and 2 weeks ago you saw them smoking cigars and getting all excited about beating us and winning the division, and we're able to come up here and beat them in their own place, and it feels good. It feels really good. I think it's satisfying, but by no means are we any bit finished or fully satisfied. I think we've got a lot of work to do, and next week will be another challenge, and we'll be ready.
All right, Mike Vick is back with us now. Mike, we talked about this with Pittsburgh perhaps overlooking Cleveland in their home. Did the Seahawks maybe overlook the Rams and what they were dealing with coming in?
You know what? I don't think they overlooked the Rams. I think they knew exactly what they was getting. They was getting Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Those two guys, the game wreckers, especially with Donald. Being in the middle and pretty much putting a stop to everything. You can't run it, you can't pass it. And Jalen Ramsey on DK Metcalf, I knew that matchup probably was going to be the most interesting and a clear reason why the Seattle Seahawks was going to win or either lose this game. And DK made some catches in some garbage time, and he had about 90 yards receiving, but for the most part, he was taken out of the game, and I think that was a big reason why the game didn't go the way that the Seattle Seahawks didn't wanted it to go. And, when I look at this matchup, when I first seen it, I was worried because, one, there's a divisional matchup, and these two teams know each other well, and I just felt like it wasn't going to go well for Seattle, and it didn't. So, the Rams came in with a chip on their shoulder, after seeing what they seen last week, and they was able to close it out.
So it's everything Vic said's right. And don't look at DK's stats. Don't look at Russell Wilson's stats. They're worse than you actually thought. And by the way, Jared Goff, I'm not sure you should be the one doing they were all super. I think you got benched for the Wolfman, and then you completed like 9 passes. Like Jared Goff, you zip it and just give Aaron Donald 10% of your contract. Even though Aaron Donald makes a lot of money, it's not enough. But that's not the story here. The story here is America's favorite television personality, Kevin Wildes. Because Brandon Marshall for weeks has been saying, I'm always looking for who's going to be the 05 Steelers. And I feel like the 05 Steelers of prognosticators is Kevin Wildes. Mediocre throughout the bulk of the year and then gets hot at the right moment. Kevin Wildes picked the Rams to lose to the Jets. Woo. And since then, I don't think has gotten a pick wrong.
Thank you.
Yesterday, on Friday, me and Brandon are talking about the greatness of Russell Wilson, and Wildes is screaming, number one defense, and picked the Rams to go all the way to the Super Bowl. Wildes, how you feeling about your number one defense, my man?
How do you think he's feeling?
Prognosticator, seer of seers. This was not a hard pick. It's the best defense in the league. Surprise, surprise. Russell Wilson gets sacked 5 more times. I told you guys, now in 3 games, he got sacked 16 total times. Jalen Ramsey shut down DK Metcalf, and I was so excited, I wrote to the U.S. Patent Office in Alexandria, Virginia, because guess what I'm going to patent? And no one's got this. Brandon, you're going to love this. It's mine now. Boom! Defense wins championships. I made it up last night. Once I saw the Rams, I'm like, oh, no one talks about this. It's only OKW. Defense wins championships. Surprise, surprise. Aaron Donald's ribs are going to be okay, just some bruised cartilage. So I think we're going to be all right. I'd be very nervous to play the Rams. Best defense, fewest points, fewest passing yards. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know, Brandon. You can.
Wow, I was watching that game yesterday, and all I could think about is if this guy gets this right, he is a genius. Who would pick the Rams to go to the Super Bowl but Kevin Wildes? So great job, buddy. You got it done this week. We'll see if you can get it done next week. Here's the deal. The better team won yesterday. Like, let's not forget that. Like, yes, I chose the Seattle Seahawks to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, but they haven't looked good the second half of the season. Let's look at how this team is built really quickly. They play really good defense, or they're supposed to, Legion of Boom. They want to run the ball. And then Russell Wilson, where is he really good at in the passing game? Throwing a deep ball. But what happened is this year they came in and they let Russell cook. And then they went on the skid where he was throwing 2 picks, 3 picks, 2 picks. And then they reeled them back in and they said, we're going to get back to our old formula and how we win games. Let's fix this defense. Let's run the ball and let's try to take those shots. What has happened in the second half of the season? Teams, they knew exactly what was coming. They took away the deep ball. They did a great job there. The Seattle Seahawks aren't good to dink and dunk. That's not what they do. And the running game is pretty much non-existent. It hasn't been explosive. It hasn't been elusive in weeks. So you take a team that has a number one defense, like Kevin said, and then you have an offense that's capable of moving the ball and putting points on the board. So, of course, they won this game. The Seattle Seahawks have real problems going into the offseason. They need to fix that offensive line, and they need to figure out what they want to do. Are they going to let Russ cook, or are they going to continue to run the ball?
So here's my question for Vic. If you were Russell Wilson, what would you have done there? Because I love Russell Wilson. I've said I think he's the most underrated player in the league. But the fact of the matter is this. After the DK Metcalf touchdown, that, let's be fair, was a broken play. It was a good play, but it's not like that's how they drew it up. Like he broke open because of a broken play. The next 6 drives, Seattle got 39 yards total. That's 6.5 yards per drive over the next 6 drives until it was garbage time, until the game was over. Yeah. So, like, I know the Rams' defense is great, but what should Russell Wilson have done to where they could at least get a first down, threaten them somewhat? Because that looked like the worst offense in football out there, and they're not that.
Yeah. The easiest way to get the offense going is getting no huddle. You know, that's the way that the quarterback gets into a rhythm. You call your own plays, and then you start putting the ball into the hands of the guys who are playmakers, and you know where the mismatches are. So, as a quarterback, whenever things got flustered, whenever I got frustrated or when things wasn't going our way, I jump in no huddle and get into a rhythm. And that's the one thing the Seattle Seahawks didn't do. They didn't try to find a rhythm. They kept huddling, kept trying to play the game from, just a stagnant position, and it showed, So the Rams are too good for that. You got to keep them off balance, and you certainly got to keep Aaron Donald in a position where he's moving and thinking a lot.
All right, so Russell Wilson did not ball out this weekend. A number of other quarterbacks did. Which was the best? Who emerged as the best quarterback this weekend? Guys, we'll tell you next. First things first. Michael Vick, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Play a little drawing a blank. Stick with the Bills now. So speaking of Josh Allen, he became the youngest quarterback ever to throw for 300 yards and complete at least 70% of his passes in playoff games. But Brandon, the best player performance from Wild Card Weekend was blank.
Ooh, this is so easy. We want to talk about the quarterbacks all the time. We want to talk about the diva receivers all the time. Look, can we show love to the Baltimore Ravens defensive line in holding the National Football League's MVP, Derrick Henry, to 40 yards rushing on the ground, less than 2.5 yards a carry? So I want to highlight these guys, and I'm going to read them here, okay? Calais Campbell, Brandon Williams, Derek Wolfe, Justin Matabike, Yannick and Justin Ellis, and Jihad Ward, okay? Yannick, however you pronounce it, help me out here, Nick, right? But those guys right there, phenomenal job. There we go. Phenomenal job getting the job done and stuffing this run. And sorry I botched your name, buddy. I still love you.
No, you're fine, Brandon.
No,
but that's why we all talk about quarterbacks. Much easier names to pronounce and only one name to remember. So I'm going Lamar Jackson. Very simple. 4 total syllables, neither word's hard. Lamar, he threw a pick to start the game. I thought it was going to be a disaster. And then he did this. And by the way, sneaky critical moment of this football game. 3rd and 10, final play of the first quarter, down 10-0. Lamar rolled to his right, threw a strike down the sideline to Mark Andrews to keep the drive going, stop the bleeding, led to a field goal that got them back in the game. It's obviously the single biggest moment of Lamar's career. It makes the Ravens right now, I believe, the hottest team in the NFL, or cements them as such. And I thought he was great after an incredibly rocky start. I was so happy for him, Wilds. I thought it was the best and most important performance of the weekend.
Yeah, a solid answer is the correct answer. The living legend, Aaron Donald. The Wolfman goes down. You're like, uh-oh. Then Jared Goff comes in. He's got a pin in his thumb. He can't throw the ball. But you know what? Doesn't matter, because you got the best player in the NFL. Here's what Pete Carroll said about good old number 99. There's one factor in this whole thing since we've been here playing these guys, and that's number 99. He hasn't just torn up, he's torn everybody up, and he continues to be a significant factor. Kevin Wildes was right about him. Take it from Pete Carroll. Real quote I just read.
On to Tennessee now. Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry couldn't get much going against the Ravens. Season low 13 points for the Titans. But Brandon, the most disappointing player performance from Wild Card Weekend was blank.
Nick is coming to you fast. Are you ready, buddy? Big Ben. 4 picks in a playoff game. Oh. That's it.
Yeah. That's it. By the way, credit to Brandon. Brandon said we might see a quarterback throw 4 or 5 interceptions in the Browns-Steelers game. Yeah. Now, I can't quite remember which quarterback he was concerned with doing that, but he did put it on the board. He was like, I'm telling you, if such and such throws 4 picks, we're killing him. Yep. And so old Rigatoni Roethlisberger takes a strike. In order to be disappointed in someone, you have to have expectations. I didn't really have expectations for Big Ben, except for that after the game, he would give some opaque answer about his future, which is exactly what he did. I do have expectations in Russell Wilson, and that was wildly disappointing. I understand you're playing a great defense. That means you shouldn't put up 40. It doesn't mean you should have 11 completions and throw a pick 6 on a pass that went 6 inches past the line of scrimmage. Like, what are you doing? Russ, you got to be better. And I'm not used to Russell Wilson playing poorly in the playoffs. Prior to this game, the worst playoff game he ever had was the conference championship game against Green Bay. But he ended that game with an overtime touchdown pass, so you're like, he made up for it. Didn't make up for this one. The Seattle offense was stagnant the entire game. They had one significant play outside of garbage time, and it was a broken play to DK Metcalf. Russell could do nothing, and so I'm disappointed in him, and he cost me a fair amount of money, Wilds, which I feel like he should feel badly about as well.
Okay, can we put Scott Pioli's tweet up? Because I think you're gonna lose your mind. This was about the Colts jumping offside. Smart football play.
Oh my God.
Hey. Initial hard count by Josh Allen. Toure a slight switch. Allen sees it, shouts, Linda, gets nervous. Brilliant, Nick. It wasn't an error on the Colts. It was a brilliant play by Josh Allen. So I thought it was going to be Toure for sort of like, throwing the game away at the end of the second half. And look at the sidelines of the Colts. Look how mad the Colts sideline is. You shouldn't be mad. What you should be mad about, like, wow, Josh Allen, such a genius. Brilliant play. Granted, everybody else in the world knew he's trying to run
Everyone knew they weren't running
Nick,
it.
Looks like we're going to have
Everyone knew.
No.
Everyone knew it was a hard count. Oh, my God.
Apparently not.
Nope.
Oh, my God.
Pioli said it was brilliant.
Apparently not.
God.
Back to Tennessee. Lamar looked like MVP Lamar yesterday as the Ravens ran their win streak to 6 games dating back to week 13. Hey, Brandon, though, the team with the most confidence coming out of Wild Card Weekend is blank.
Ooh, you have to go with the Cleveland Browns. Look, this wasn't a game where the Cleveland Browns just took advantage of the Pittsburgh Steelers' mishaps. This was a game where the Cleveland Browns absolutely dominated the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that started off this season 11-0. This team didn't have their head coach. They had players that was signed the day of. Baker Mayfield met one of his offensive linemen in the locker room day of the game. This is a team, if they can play like this in all 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams, they can compete and push the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh, I like that. Hey, I'm going with Sean Payton for a few reasons. One, and Nick, you had a great tweet about this. I should have texted you that I was going to take it for the show. He's confident that he's going to have Drew Brees do a quarterback sneak over the pile that doesn't end up getting in, even though the guy just had his ribs broken a few weeks ago.
What's he doing?
It's very confident.
And you're up like $1 million.
It doesn't make any sense. It's very confident. Yeah. Second reason, if you were really scared of Tom Brady and you really needed to get focused and you weren't wildly confident, I think when it came around to like, hey, are you willing to get slimed? You would be like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see how the game's like. He's like, yeah, I'll get slimed. All good. I'll get slimed. No big deal. It's a great program from Nickelodeon. Don't say program. No, they're not called programs, Jenna. They're called TV shows.
They're not called programs.
And I know Dusty was worried about the Concords. Those are Concord lows. Different set of rules.
Oh, that's a good sneakerhead take by Wilds, because I was leaning forward to look at the shoes because those are some nice 11s, but Wilds is right. They're the Concord lows. They're not quite as elite as the Concord regular. That's a fair point. All right, but you guys all have the wrong answer. You know who should have the most confidence coming out Wild Card Weekend? It's not the Browns. It's not the Saints. It's not the Bucks. It's not the Ravens. It's the Chiefs, buddy. Guess what? Oh. The Ravens and the Bills. The 2 teams best set up to give the Chiefs problems. They got to play each other. You got Baker and the Browns coming off their Super Bowl. They're coming to town. Coming to Arrowhead. The Colts actually were positioned to maybe potentially run the... No, the Colts gone. And Titans, Derrick Henry, see you later.
Like
Ravens and Bills got to play each other. The Chiefs, meanwhile, they're going to get... and Browns fans, plug your ears for a moment. Earmuffs, Browns fans, because we're family. The Chiefs are going to whoop Cleveland, and they needed a get-right game. Because you guys are right. The Chiefs haven't been sharp for about 5 weeks. But now they get the Browns. They get the Browns.
So you're going to overlook the Browns?
They're overlooked.
The Browns?
Overlooked.
Oh, my goodness.
Browns were everything until they started to play his team. On to Phillip Rivers now. We've seen this story before. Regular season success followed by postseason disappointment. Now we want to see if Rivers wants to come back for one more go-around in Indy. But, Brandon, the team with the most question marks coming out of Wild Card Weekend is blank.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Time to move on from Big Ben. You can't play like this down the stretch. You can't go into a playoff game against the Cleveland Browns and throw 4 picks. You can't do it. And the reason why I say this is important to do this offseason is because you are in a moment. You have this window with this great defense, and you can't let it go by holding on to I almost said noodle arm quarterback. I can't say that. Yeah. A quarterback who is struggling. And look at this, and I'm going to read this, so I want you guys to get this. You have Hayward, 31, Tuitt, 27. You have Dupree, 27. T.J. Watt, 26. Hayden, 31. Nelson, 27. Edmonds, 23. Mika Fitzpatrick, 24. You have to move on so you can give this defense the opportunity to lead you to victory. Find a run game and find a quarterback who can protect the ball.
All right, it's a great answer. Can we put Brandon side by side with me real quick before I give my answer? Brandon, can you hold that computer up again real quick? I think I noticed something. I need it because the sticker game's elite. Hold that computer up real quick. I knew it. I knew it. That's a New York Giants sticker. Brandon, always Mr. Jet. Mr. Jet, I'm going back to the Jets. Look, that's a New York Giants sticker. You've been found out.
Let me take that off.
That's a New York Giants sticker.
Let me take that off.
See? He's always like, oh, go back to the Jets. I love the Jets. I love the Jets. He got a Giants sticker on the computer. I saw it. Okay. I see. Yeah, he's got the Jets jersey. All right. My answer is the Bears. And maybe they don't have his question marks as much as answers, but the answers are what they don't want to hear. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be next year. I'm not certain they know who their GM's going to be next year. I don't think they know who their coach is going to be next year. Aside from that, it was a great weekend. You got Mitch Trubisky running out of bounds short of the sticks. You've got Matt Nagy punting the football down 17 points. You got Jimmy Graham deciding I am not spending 1 second working for this team longer than my contract demands. I'm leaving. Like, the Bears, I know they made the playoffs like, oh, Chicago made the playoffs 2 out of 3 years under Nagy. No, they don't know who they are, what they want to be, or what they're going to be. They've got the most question marks after that pathetic performance last night against the Saints.
Hey, I'm going off the board here. Going with the Eagles. I had a pet theory, Brandon, that there was so much drama around pulling Jalen Hurts for Sudfeld that eventually ownership was going to be like, what's this guy doing? Surprise, surprise. Mort report comes out and like, their exit meeting didn't go too well. There's a troubling plan for the future. Don't be surprised if we hear some news about Peterson on his way out in Philadelphia. Sorry, Dusty. Ooh. Or maybe congratulations. Not sure.
We head back to Pittsburgh for the playoff postmortem. Was this game more about Baker or Big Ben? If you printed out directions to get here, you're in the right place. This is First Things First. That was for you, Wilds. On Thursday, Tom Izzo's 23rd-ranked Spartans battle number 5 Iowa in one of the most anticipated Big Ten games all season. It is Thursday, 9 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. All right, time now for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks Built to Serve. We head to Washington. Tom Brady versus Taylor Heineke. Bucks and Washington, and what a valiant effort by Heineke, the underdog of underdogs, and he was good. Unfortunately, Tom Brady was better, even against that stout Washington defense. Bucks win. They'll move on to face the Saints next week. But Brandon, should this have finally been enough to convince Nick that he's been wrong about Tom Brady all year?
Look, he should have gave up on this whole dossier thing probably 6 weeks ago. But Nick, please give us one more week of the dossier. Please, because this is a big matchup coming between them and the New Orleans Saints. Yeah. One more week, Nick.
It's nice.
One more.
Oh, I'm so conflicted. Because you know what? Here's the dossier. And if you were watching the beginning of the show, I threw it down in anger and said it belongs in the trash. Over the course of the last 2 hours, I've decided I might have to reconsider. Because Brandon said something very interesting. And I'll give Brady his due in a moment, but first I need to address something. Brandon said something very interesting. He was like, oh, Nick, Oh, my buddy Nick Wright. And sometimes Brandon's buddies are good. Sometimes Brandon's buddies are like patting a dog on the head. Like, oh, my little buddy. So you got to kind of watch the tone of the buddy. He's like, my buddy Nick Wright hasn't just been wrong about Brady this year. He's been wrong about Brady for a couple of years. And I thought back and I was like, au contraire, my friend. It was this dossier that gave me the confidence last year to pick Brady to lose in round one to Ryan Tannehill through a pick to end the season. So am I going to allow one game to dissuade me from what has been building? One game where he outdueled Taylor Heineke? No, it's not.
There you
Dossier, back in business. Archival footage of it. We're going to get it back. We're going to call it later. We're back. Now, that does not mean that I can't give him credit for what he accomplished this weekend, because he was excellent. And Washington didn't get quite the pass rush I thought they were going to get, but they got some pass rush, and he was good despite it. And I just want to go to some key moments in this football game, because after the Vaughn fumble, their backup running back fumble, and there was the great Heineke drive that ended with him diving for the pylon, it's a 2-point game. Brady's next 3 drives, 9-play, 55-yard field goal, 7-play, 69-yard touchdown to go up 12. Then Heineke leads another touchdown drive, and Brady responds with 7-play, 58-yard field goal to put him up 8. He kept punching back. The Washington had the #1 second-half defense in the league by a mile. They allowed something like, I think it was like 7 points per game on average in the second half. And Brady cut him up. And he deserves massive credit for that. And Wilds, Bruce Arians deserves credit. People were crushing Arians all year. Yeah. Brady was only 22 of 40. It was low completion percentage, but a lot of yards. Why? Because he was airing it out. That's the Arians offense, taking shots down the field. So I was wrong this weekend. We're going to have to see where the dossier failed us, but it might stay alive for the Saints game. But credit to Brady. He was way better than I thought he was. This wasn't his last playoff game. This coming Sunday evening will be his last playoff game.
Wow, okay. You know, everyone needs to know the dossier is a living, breathing document. So it can get bigger and get smaller. It's like an accordion, except less musical. Yes. Brandon, Brady and friends, we were talking about it last week. Hey, AB, you're living at the house. You mind if you catch another touchdown even though you had 2 catches? Sure. Hey, Mike Evans, brand new here. How you doing? Best year of your career. Thanks to good old Tom Brady. You want to score another touchdown even though your ankle's hurt? Sure thing. Gronk, you can catch a few balls, but I need you to block Chase Young. Sure. Chase Young. Uh-oh. 2 quarterback hurries. No hits, no sacks, 0 worries. He did touch Tom Brady at the end of the game. Nice handshake, but that's it. Brandon, this speaks to what you were talking about, that Tom Brady's on a mission. The sense that I had from this game, it felt like the opposite of Titans-Ravens. It didn't feel like there was any juice. It didn't feel like there was any juice. Game ended like, hey, congratulations. Good job, guys. You were under 500. Thank you. I'm Tom Brady, about to go win another championship. There was nothing. And they talked trash, but it was just, it felt so polite. It made me sort of think of what you said, where Tom Brady is on a one-track mission to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, just because of the NFL and we're trying to entertain all year, I tried to talk up this NFC East. I said that this is the most exciting division in the National Football League. And then last week, enough was enough. What did I say Friday? I said, can we just stop trying to make this into a game? It's not a game. So to your point,
did end up being a
that's
game.
the reason why. But they could have put up 40 points, Nick, if Chris Godwin.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but if Chris Godwin, and I know we don't have enough time to dive into the details of it. If Chris Godwin, if he went in and he caught those balls, they could have put up 40 points. Come on, man. Let's not make this into something bigger than what it was. Tom Brady and the Bucs was going to blow these boys out.
That's right. And Jenna, the other interesting angle from this weekend, and we can discuss it throughout the week, is I wonder if that Bucs locker room is happy or sad what happened with Seahawks-Rams. Because if the Seahawks had handled their business, then Brady and the Bucs are going to Green Bay, ostensibly the better team, but a team they whooped. Because the Rams won, now you go to New Orleans, ostensibly a worse team than Green Bay, but a team that's beaten you twice already this year. You just see if they can beat you a third time. So that's flipped the bracket in the NFC. That's 6 over 3. So it's just something to think about later in the week, Jenna.
And to your point, Wilds, Brady did come out after the game and said we didn't play well enough. We could have put more points up. So they are on a one-track mission to the Super Bowl. Let's get back to the Browns now. They had no head coach. They had no practice all week. They were missing some key players, and none of that mattered against a woefully underprepared Steelers team. Cleveland pulling off what some would call an improbable upset. Brandon, was last night more about the Browns' resilience or the Steelers' struggles?
Yeah, really quick, little housekeeping stuff real quick. Hey, Nick, you took the bait. I just wanted to be clear, and I want the record to reflect that you took the bait, picked up the dossier, all right? And because this next week, that game between New Orleans and the Bucs is going to be a big one. And Tampa Bay and Tom Brady is going to win that game.
Okay,
so anyway, to answer your question,
credit,
Jenna.
Give Baker his credit.
All right,
give
great.
his flowers.
Baker Mayfield played great, Jenna. He played great. I've been crushing him all year, saying this is a guy who doesn't perform well under pressure. This is a guy who throws picks. And then the last 10 games or so, this dude has played phenomenal. The biggest plays in the game for me when it comes to Baker Mayfield was third down. He had a 20-yard in cut. The cornerback was driving. The safety was driving. He was biting at the bit to throw the ball. He threw it in the dirt. Baker Mayfield made the right decisions in key moments. That's what I loved about last night. And then the next thing, Nick, it's time to move on from Big Ben. You can't waste those guys on the defensive side. That's your strength. And Big Ben throwing 4 picks, that's a big deal. Wilds, I know you love him throwing 500 yards and 47 completions, but he is the reason why this team isn't still playing ball.
And listen, they played one good half of football the final 6 games of the year. They somewhat manipulated the bracket to get the Browns into the playoffs, and the Browns whooped them. Big Ben does a worse Cam Newton impersonation right there to start the football game, and they lose. So listen, I don't know if this is the last game of his career or not, but it was a disaster. And by the way, it kind of follows in line for what his last few playoff games have looked like. But the story, Wilds, is Baker. When he doesn't turn the ball over, and he doesn't turn the ball over really anymore, he's top 10 quarterback. He is the future of the Browns and the current of the Browns. He's going to get the contract extension. He is the face of the franchise. And the Cleveland Browns went to Pittsburgh without their head coach, without some of their best players in the postseason. And Baker didn't throw a no-hitter, but didn't allow any extra base hits, didn't make any big mistakes. So to me, that's the story. Baker Mayfield answering the call of so many of his critics.
Mr. GM, I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Here's a story, everybody. Story is the Browns are good when their team has been chilling. Who's been chilling at home for a while? I don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs. Browns had to get into Week 17. Now they're in here. Meanwhile, the Chiefs sitting there doing Allstate commercials. Well, okay, it'll be 20 days between snaps for old Patrick Mahomes, who also hasn't looked hot in the last few weeks. He's very nervous. Got dossier on Patrick Mahomes. It's pretty thin right now. It's only one page. When he's coming, I'm going to start.
Great take.
Only 24-4.
Great take.
We gotta go. See you tomorrow.
Nick, you're overlooking them.